RP show continues here on the Game Plus TV network and Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. By the way, sign up for the Rod Squad newsletter. It's free at rodpedersen.com. Brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. Mike Richards, happy holidays, my friend.
Yes. Oh, can we not say Merry Christmas? Is that
Merry Christmas. Don't get offended.
There,
oh, my God.
Thank you very much for that. Hey, great to see you, my brother. Great to see your face.
Great to see yours. Great to be seen in this perilous trade. How are things going on Fan 960 Calgary and Rogers TV?
Well, we had a very good run. So because we have to do it in 13-week segments, so we finished on November 23rd, which is sort of weird, because there's stuff that happens, like sports doesn't stop. So it's just kind of weird for the audience where they have to wait to July 11th. But we're slowly kind of figuring it out, and you know what that's about because you started at some point, and you and Moose, and tried to figure out where things go and how technically things work and so on. So I'm really happy. I think 2026 will be the real banger of a year. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. The response has been great, really good.
Oh, good. Well, of course, it's you. Worst Christmas present you ever got?
Oh, that's easy. And it's sad. It's not good, folks. I mean, God bless my mother, who passed away a couple of years ago. But she was someone who could make a lot of things. But the thing that you don't want as a 13 or 14-year-old kid, when you're going over to see your hot cousins, that's right, hot cousins, we all got them. Come on. You're from the prairies. You know what I'm talking about. Hot cousins. And so I'm going to see my hot cousins, and they all had the Jordache, the jeans of the day. They had the designer jeans, as they called them. My mom made us purple corduroy pants. Now, I'm not saying that there's a challenge when you can try to be charming and maybe you can be kind of cute. No one is that charming. Brad Pitt, at that point, is probably not getting any chicks at all by wearing purple corduroy pants. Homemade. Not a good Christmas. I think that's the year. Is that the year I started drinking? Yeah, that might have been the year I found rye. Now I think about it. It's true.
I've been on the sports banquet trail, and I often say I had to leave my hometown when my cousin started to look good because I didn't think he'd like that. Anyways, Phillip Rivers, 44.
Yeah.
Colts.
There's a couple of things, and people who watch it, but certainly people ourselves who cover sports long enough. The one thing that I don't always quite get used to is, number one, heartbreak is always tough. I like a good reclamation project. I like a good comeback story. So Danny Dimes going out doing what he wasn't really able to do in New York, and people say, what do you mean not able to do? Well, if he had been able to do and have protection and have the kinds of weapons and have an offensive coordinator and have a coach, you go down the list because, quite frankly, folks, football is a complicated sport and there's a lot of moving parts. And you need guys who know how those parts fit. If they don't, if there's a hole somewhere, it's like having a problem with your engine in your car. Maybe you can't see it, but it's going down. That's what happened to Danny Dimes. I felt bad for him. So he comes to the Colts. He's having this great season. And then you get into this thing in the Achilles. And so the NFL, being like a lot of other sports leagues, but especially in football, and CFL included, your number one guy goes down. And now you're into that really bad carousel because, look, a lot of guys have serviceable backups. I get that part. But in a league where they're picking through the garbage too, it's like, was it American pickers and Canadian pickers? Like they've already gone through your barn. They've gone through your garage. There's not a lot left there. And then if those guys aren't healthy, and that's the case in Indy. So Richardson's out. You've got a bunch of other guys. So you've got Riley Leonard. Okay, so Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. That's what they have. He played a bunch of quarters. He's the practice quarterback. He's in the camp. He knows the playbook. But they decided to go at some point, I guess, out of pure desperation because it won't work. This is not like the Joe Flacco thing where you can kind of seamlessly slip him in and he can work that offense for you. That's not going to happen because if he gets a start, and there was some weird cryptic message that went out on social media from the Colts. I don't know, some nerd someone who went to a school much better than you and I, and he put something out there in Latin. First of all, I don't know about the Indianapolis metropolitan area, how the Latin speaking population is, nor in the NFL, but it translates to something as we're starting again, or here's to new beginnings, something like that. I'm like, well, if it's Philip Rivers, they're finished. They're dead because Jonathan Taylor can only do so much. You're like, okay, let's just jam the box. Let's just jam the box. Let's go old high school. Let's play gap defense. And whenever we get the ball, let's just have the whole team jump on them. It's going to be a mess. I don't think they could. I would caution them to not do this. To bring a guy to camp, you've got to bring a body into a camp. So let's get that out of the way first. You simply just need those bodies to practice and do the things you do in football. So, yeah, you got to find someone, if he's 44, whatever, bring him in. But if they don't start Riley Leonard, I have a really bad feeling about even just a 44-year-old. And he would, let's face it, in his last 5 to 6 years, I mean, he just played like he was 44. So, he's not going to start scrambling. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to figure a way to get out of the pocket. This could be just like the Lions and the Christians in the Coliseum. And I got to tell you, the Lions in that case had a very good record.
Right. I went to Mount Royal University. Served me well. If you want to talk about the school, where'd you go?
I went to a couple of schools, and they all said, "Are you done now? You finished with this experiment?" I went to Fanshawe College for a year, and then I went to Ryerson and took radio and television, very difficult to get into, but easy to get out, especially when you write your final exam in fake Chinese. Yes, that's a one-way ticket of please don't come back.
I didn't.
I wish I was making that up. I wish I was making that up. I'm not.
Why are you? You and I are like spirit animal. I didn't finish Mount Royal. I said I went. There's a difference, clearly. Yeah. What do we know about broadcasting? Reg writes in and says, "Can we get an evil Jerry call of the World Series?"
Here's the pitch. Swung on. That ball's going way back. It's got a chance. No. And can you believe it? It's stuck between the padding and the field. Who's the jackass who figured that out? What an idiot. I'll go to your house and I'll burn your family down. You dicks.
No, that's the evil.
For those that
Jerry would not say those things.
Literally, how do you come up with that? That's unbelievable. While we're here and your fans are clearly infecting our comment section, asking for some of your best hits. So the Flames are one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. Is that a good or bad thing, Mike?
Well, it's probably not. Well, look, the one thing about tanking, which everyone is in love with, they just figure that's the way to go. Is it McKenna? So, okay, so we're going to go and throw it out. The real problem is just if it indeed is a generational player. And we know who they were. You might even argue that people didn't think Matthew Schaefer was necessarily a generational player. Currently, right now, they'd be wrong because not only is he one of the most heralded rookie defenseman that we have ever seen. I mean, he's breaking like Bobby Orr-like records. Like, it's insane. But he also is one of the greatest, and he's a kid. He's 18. Rod, he's 18. We know what his story is very public about him. He lost his mom to breast cancer, and then his billet mom committed suicide, and it just all these things that had happened. And even a weird tie-in that I have with him. My wife taught with his aunt. And so he also played for the Erie Otters that was owned by a gentleman named Jim Waters from the Waters family, which was the Chum Limited Network across the. If it wasn't for Jim Waters, I never would have been on the air. Jim Waters was a big fan of mine, a big supporter. And then Jim, in that same period, he has a heart attack and dies. So there are a lot of people who go through a lot of things, I get it, that aren't hockey players, but that piled on this young man. And you saw what happened on the night of the draft, like we just absolutely melted down on an international television. But it was so emotional. I've never seen anything that honest in that capacity. Rod, I don't know about you. I've never seen anything like it. And then he goes out and he's just on a tear. He's just on an absolute tear. So do you tank for someone like that? Well, yeah, I guess if you had a crystal ball, you would. I just don't know necessarily for Flames fans. Now, do you sell off the parts and the pieces that don't work? Some of those guys who fit in that category of a little past the prime, maybe not producing the way they should. Do you get something from Kadri? Do you get something for Huberdeau? Yeah, you're definitely selling. Like you're going to be sellers. You have to be sellers because, as they say many times over, it's not just me, but Rod, as you know, to be in the middle or not at the very bottom in the NHL, if you finish in the middle, you get nothing. You get nothing. And that is a terrible, terrible place to be because it might take you years to go up or down. So you might as well go down. And I know that's why people love tanking. I do get that. I think the end result is it's all about that continuity, that ownership. And the fans right now are really very angry in Calgary with ownership. They love Connie. They love Craig Conroy for the most part. They believe in him. They're not sure about the ownership. And they're even fighting about things like ticket prices. Now that could, you can go to a lot of different places where they complain about it. That never happened when I was there. They didn't talk about ticket prices. That usually is a symptom of something else. And I think what they're really afraid of, Rod, to be honest, is the new building. Like if it costs that much now to go with a team that a lot of people are fighting with, think that they're AHL players, they're not going to, they might finish in a really bad place. Well, what's it going to cost when we go to that new building? So there is a lot of upheaval. And I don't have an answer. I honestly can't look at that thing and say, yep, you have to tank. Well, if McKenna's your answer, then what are all the pieces that go around with it? Not only current team, because most of those are going to be gone. Moving forward, what's the plan? Tell me the plan. It's like a lot of teams in the NFL. I look at the Miami Dolphins for the last post Marino and look at these football people, because they're good football people. There's like, but what's your plan? What was your plan? Because I get the feeling that you kind of don't have one. You hope you luck out with maybe the right quarterback and they get Tua in there. And then they get, you start going through all these names. But do you really feel like the Miami Dolphins have a plan? And that is ultimately the Achilles heel for any professional franchise in any sport, where you look at it and they go, you got no plan. You got no plan.
Buddy, I'm a Cowboys fan. I know all about that.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
By the way, Eric in Vancouver writes in, he says, this guy is talented. He's okay. He's okay. Mike Richards. Yeah. Well, listen, let me flip this all around. I'm dying to get your take on college. I could go on about all these things with you, but time is limited. So to college football, yeah, it's not your fault. It's ours. College football. Notre Dame's crying. All the rest. Go.
Okay. So, you can cry, like all of a sudden the CFB and the formula and those picking the teams that get in was a surprise to you, because it's not. You look at a team, and I don't know if you saw the head coach from Vanderbilt, how he was approaching the same thing about not getting into the playoffs. He said, well, we left games on the table. We left points on the table. We did things that, knowing what it takes to get into those playoffs, and we didn't do them. So next year, our goal is to eliminate those things. To me, Rod, that's accountability. That's the kind of guy, and Vandy's building a program. Don't kid yourself. I mean, I'm not saying that they're immediately a playoff team, but they have the right attitude. They have a plan. What we just talked about. They have a plan. So I don't want to hear about Notre Dame crying when you look at what you needed to have done, what you needed to do. And, I look at the programs that got in there, and, for the most part, I think they're at least close on the formula. Like, look, you can nitpick about the CFB formula, and you can always nitpick probably about March Madness and the 64 that do get in. But I think I heard you earlier today talking about, and I think you're right. Well, then show me the better process. Show me that better plan. Show me the better formula, and we'll take a look at it. Right now, I'm not seeing it. I don't have one. I don't know one's been submitted. So for the CFB playoffs right now, I don't mind it. You got a James Madison in there, so people are like, hey, isn't James Madison? Well, again, I go back to, okay, let's say you're taking a test. Say you're taking one of the hardest tests that you have to get into school. So let's say it's the LSAT. You want to be a lawyer. Well, if you've ever seen what that test looked like, it's not just about being a smart person or having a high IQ or being able to read, write, spell, comprehension. It is a bastard of a test. You have to understand how it works as the animal that it is, separately as a test only unto itself. So there's no comparison. There's no looking at what it takes, like the MCAT. It's not like the medical one. It's not like anything else that we deal with. It's its own universe. That is the formula for college football playoffs. You know what it is. You know what it takes. So if you lose a game to East Carolina, or you don't look good against a team that, like, there's all these things that you know. So do your business. Oregon almost found themselves on the outside. Oregon came close to almost not getting in at some point. Their quarterback goes down. Indiana goes in. They punch him in the mouth. There's things that they saw. It almost slipped away, but then they had to play a strong game in Iowa. They had to go, and there's certain games they had to take care of business. They had to beat USC in a certain way. So they got in. Notre Dame didn't do those things. So if you don't do them, if you're one of those teams, I'm not crying for you. Simple. I have no tears for that.
When FSU got snubbed, the whole country was on their side. When Notre Dame got snubbed, here everybody's like, "Shut up!
Yeah, wow.
We'll let you bench for a day." And by the way, the Kirk in Toronto wants your take on Huff and Jim Barker to the Argos.
Well, the Huff thing did surprise me. So then I would have seen also Philip Rivers at 44 going into the Colts camp. I mean, and you have to know Huff's one of the all-time beauties. Like, he's a great guy. But the hearing alone, I mean, he can hardly hear. It's really difficult. I'm thinking that it is also, we talk about symptoms. Well, I don't know if that's just the organization and those that own them saying, we're out of ideas, and I don't know who else we can attract. So if we don't go old school, I don't know if we're going to attract anybody new school. I don't know if anyone wants to take the challenges of what you see that the Argos have that really no one else in the CFL has. Toronto has its own fight, and that's just to exist in a city that doesn't really have a love for football. Sorry, I've said it a million times. It is not a football city. I don't care what you're talking about. And if there are football fans, they're fantasy fans. They're fantasy football fans. They're Buffalo Bill fans, which is fine. But even still, I just think that they probably, at the end of the day, Rod said, the only guys that we're going to get in here are guys who've been around the block 1,000 times, and maybe they can do something. But after that, we're out of ideas. I'm happy for those guys. Obviously, Jim Barker, the coach, very good friend of mine. I mean, I think he's got one of the great minds in football, period. He also, when it comes to personnel, he just understands the game so well. But I'm always a little nervous when it feels like it's going to be a last stand here a little bit. And we already saw the disaster with, we're going to team up with the Buffalo Bills, and they're a part of it now. Yeah, okay. Death. It feels bad. I'm worried.
Oh, what did I say to you earlier? It's like, well, okay, we'll let you figure it out because that's what we pay you for. We completely botch it. So we got to bring in guys to fix it, and whether that's marketing or on the field or I don't know. I'm not a Toronto guy. I hope it works out. I love Tanner. How can you not?
Here's the problem. When they're not seen as professional. So they look at the Raptors, they look at the Blue Jays, they look at the Leafs. So that's what this city wants. When you start talking football and you talk about CFL, there's this glazed over. What are you talking about? No, there is not a love for it. The only way, quite frankly, and I know people want to hear this, it's not marketing because you can market them all you want. It's the player, a player. It is the way that we used to do things sometimes in the 70s when Terry Metcalf came up, when you were able to get a hold of the Warren Moons and the Joe Theismanns and the Doug Flutys, in the 90s. They need, you know what? There's your answer. You need the version of that, and you need them tomorrow.
All right, my friend. Merry Christmas. We're out of time.
Merry Christmas.
You're looking great, by the way. He's gone. The great Mike Richards on the Mount Rushmore of sports broadcasters, either country. We'll be right back.